Welcome back, everybody, to Goodwill Podcasting with Connor and Stone. Dan is out today with personal reasons, but we are a movie podcast that today is going to be discussing two different types of horror. We're going to be discussing the death angels that are raining down on New York City in A Quiet Place Day 1, but also the frightening fact that Lupita Nyong'o is still underutilized in Hollywood for over the past decade now. On today's episode, we want to highlight just our favorite films from the Academy Award-winning actress and also briefly discuss her new blockbuster in theaters right now. And we aren't doing it alone. No. We are yet again blessed with a special guest, and this time it is none other than Morin, the film diva. She's a longtime friend of us for a very long time now. And she's such a confidently opinionated and kind soul. One of the best people, honestly, talking about movies on TikTok and social media. And Morin, we're just really thankful that you're on the show today with us.
Oh, thanks, guys. That's so nice. I'm so happy to be here and talk to you with you guys.
Oh, very exciting.
When we try to take this podcast a little bit more seriously. We've been scheduling a lot of guests, and collectively, all of us thought of you being one of the first people we wanted to have on. So I'm really happy that we were able to not only talk to you, but talk to you about Lupita, because I love her and I'm very upset. Like, my intro is very true. The fact that she doesn't get a lot of work, surprisingly, even though she's always good.
Yep, I agree. It's weird.
So I know, Connor, we are going to discuss in a row. We're going to discuss first 12 Years a Slave, Us, and then Queen of Katwe, which was Morin's recommendation. And I want to thank you for that, because not a lot of people have watched that movie, I saw.
Yep, exactly.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, it honestly made me, I don't want to get into it just yet, but the fact that it's a sports movie from Disney that was made like not too long ago, it just feels like the old days kind of. But Connor, you hadn't watched 12 Years a Slave. So what was the first film that you saw Lupita in?
Probably Black Panther, I would guess.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's probably for a lot of people. And then I forgot, I don't think she has as big of a part in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Does she? She might. I don't know. I feel like, isn't she like teaching a school somewhere?
Yeah, she took the back burner, and that's who they go to, though, to kind of recruit to find back Shuri.
Okay.
They go find her when she's teaching, and then they're like, hey, we need you to go down to, is it Namor or Namor?
Namor.
I was close. Go down to his like cave and find her, rescue her. So,
Morin, I think that you are the first guest that we've had from Canada on the podcast. And I want to ask you, we tried to have someone from Australia one time, and that was going to be really good because it was going to be our Mad Max episode, which I thought that would have been really cool to get someone's perspective from the country on those films. But what is it? I feel like you have these incredible opportunities to, go to a lot of premieres, it seems like. Is there a lot of film people in your area at all?
That's a good question. It's weird. Yes and no. I do feel like there are in Toronto a lot of creators who do focus on film, but I find that, the marketing agencies that work with these studios, they also just reach out to like other influencers who don't focus on movies for these things as well. So it's like a mix between people who actually, like me, who review movies and stuff, but then people who kind of don't. So it's like a mix. And I do find that compared to the States, like the Toronto area, there's a small group of us. So that's why I find myself being able to go to a lot of these advanced screenings and premieres, because Toronto's big, but it's small at the same time. If that makes sense.
You got to beat Timothée Chalamet, right?
Oh, that was amazing. And he was so nice too. And the fact like he stopped and talked to everybody and like had little conversations with them and signed things, like he was actually really nice. So it was surprising.
That's awesome to hear.
He's going to have a very long career. So hopefully 40 years down the line, he is the exact same. Maybe he'll get some wear and tear on him after so many years in Hollywood, but we'll see. But yeah, we're super. What are your your social tags? That way everyone can find you on social media.
So my social tags are the same on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It's just at TheFilmDiva, one word, no spaces. That's where you guys can find me.
Nice, awesome.
I was gonna say, I think I need to follow you on some platforms still.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I do too. And
I'm
yes,
mainly on
please.
TikTok, guys. Mainly on TikTok. I try to use Instagram and Twitter more, but like
I feel like we're all kind of shifting
algorithm.
into that
I don't
path.
know.
I feel like
Yeah.
we're all shifting into there though because of the
Mhm.
big reign of terror that TikTok's getting banned.
Mhm.
Like,
I'm gonna say I just talked to our friend Gigi, who's gonna be on the podcast in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna hopefully start doing YouTube soon because I know she is, dived into that space and she's been incredibly successful. And I had her send me all the equipment and everything to get prepared for that. But yeah, I am trying to delve into. I mean, that's why we have this podcast too. Even when TikTok is over, this podcast we have everyone's number. We have you as a friend now, so
we have the
even if the app
Discord.
the Discord. We have a Discord chat with hundreds of creators. So even if they can't ban all the apps, but I will say, funny fact, that's in the United States. Will it go away from you? For
Oh
you?
yeah.
No, but I feel like Canada always just follows what the States does. So even though, because I know there was talks about it after, the US were like, oh, we want to ban it. So then Canada, they started talking about it. But I don't think it will happen right away. If it were to happen to you guys, it wouldn't happen to me. But
I
then that
still don't.
takes away 75% of like the people who, interact with me. So
I still don't believe it's getting banned here. Like, I don't think it's gonna
I
happen.
don't think it will.
It's going to be a crazy time, I'll tell you that, because Dan keeps on pointing out the fact that there's a lot of money in it. So there's going to be a lot. The economy is going to be really affected by taking away a major, economical advantage to the country.
Yeah.
Hmm.
With where we are today in society, fucking social media drives everything.
Very true.
I mean,
Yep.
I saw an RFK TikTok the other day.
Whatever drives the views.
Or the polls, I guess.
Yeah. But do you guys want to try to get into Lupita's first film,
Okay.
12 Years a Slave?
For sure.
I'll give a little recap. I didn't get to visit this film before. I watched a couple months ago, but you guys have a fresher opinion on it. But this is the one she won the Oscar for, Best Supporting Actress, I believe, in 2014. It's the pre-Civil War United States. The story of Solomon Northup, a free black man from upstate New York, is abducted. He's sold into slavery. He faces cruelty as well as unexpected kindness. Solomon, he struggles not only to stay alive, but to retain his dignity. In the 12th year of his unforgettable odyssey, Solomon's chance meeting with a Canadian abolitionist will forever alter his life. Connor, you just watched this for the first time. How was it for you? I know it is a doozy.
And this was my pick too.
It
Because
was.
I've
You
been
wanted to watch
meaning
this,
to
yeah?
I've been meaning to get to watch this for a while. Going into it, because my wife started this movie with me. She asked me to turn it off after he starts getting beaten with a paddle. But this is gonna sound really fucked up at first, so let me explain myself. I was happy that that was in the movie, merely for the fact that this is such a brutal tale and everything else that they need to show just how bad it was. But my wife didn't like it too much, so she had me turn it off. But
my wife would have done the same thing.
Yeah. I rated it higher than you, Stone. I was
Okay.
a big fan of this. I mean, only by a half star.
Oh.
But no, absolutely amazing. And this might be a hot take. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but the lead actor in this may have given one of the best acting performances I have ever seen.
No, yeah, I agree. Because I rewatched this last night because I've only seen it one other time. That was like 10 years ago when it first came out. So I'm like, okay, let me rehash. And yeah, he did an amazing job. I'm like, I don't know how he didn't win the Oscar. I don't remember who else was nominated with him that year, but I don't know how he didn't win. He was amazing. And yeah, it was a hard watch. I honestly, every like 10 minutes, I'm like, I need to turn this off. I'm like, no, I can't. I have to watch. But it was very hard. This movie's very hard to get through.
I would say, how long did it take for Lupita to come on screen? I believe because this is a journey, and I know that she's not there the entire way. I can't remember how long, like in the runtime, before you saw her for the first time.
I want to say it was like 50 or more minutes.
Yeah, I want to say like an hour. And then also her part's not even that big. Now
No.
rewatching it, I was like, oh, she's actually not that much in this movie, but her performance is really good though. So
Yeah.
understand.
Also, to kind of go back to what you were saying, The best actors nominees for that year was Hugh Jackman for Les Mis, Bradley Cooper, Silver Linings Playbook, Daniel Day-Lewis for Lincoln, Joaquin Phoenix for The Master, and Denzel Washington for Flight. So this guy didn't even get nominated.
Are
I thought
really?
he.
I
I
thought, I'm pretty
swear,
sure I think he did.
I think he
Um,
was go to the
I'm
year
look-
before. Go to the.
oh wait,
Yeah.
would it technically be the 2014 Oscars?
Yep.
Yep. All
I
right,
say this movie won Best Picture.
let's circle
Yeah.
back. Uh,
Yeah.
it was Bruce Dern for Nebraska, Leo for Wolf of Wall
Oh.
Street, Matthew McConaughey, Dallas Buyers Club, Christian Bale, American Hustle, and then Chiwetel Ejiofor for 12 Years a
Let's see,
Slave.
we looked it up. So it's Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Okay,
Yeah, we
gotcha.
got it.
Yeah.
And McConaughey won that year for Dallas Buyers.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, that is a really good performance from him. It's tough.
Yeah.
It is.
Do you guys? I don't know if you realized this when we were, came up with the topic of Lupita and talking about her career. Do you know what her first film was that she was ever in?
No.
No.
It was this.
Yeah, I'm like, I think this one was the first big one. I don't know if she was anything before. Okay.
It was her first film. She was actually. I did some research on her career and her upbringing. She's actually Mexican and Kenyan. She's dual citizenships in both countries. What happened was I believe they did live in Kenya, and her father was a very big political figure in the country. And then there was some political turmoil, and for that reason, they fled to Mexico. And she was born in Mexico, but then at the age of 1, they moved back to Kenya, and she lived in Kenya. And then at the age of 16, she flew back to Mexico with her family because her family thought that she needed to learn Spanish or thought it'd be good for her to learn Spanish. But she does have dual citizenship. And then she eventually went to Yale for acting school. But she got this role when she was still in school. It was the first script. She had just hired a manager. And this was the very first script that the manager gave her was 12 Years a Slave.
Do you ever hear someone's story and just think to yourself, like, I'm never going to do anything remotely close to that awesome in my life?
Okay, well, that's probably what Fiona thought in Queen of Katwe. She never thought she was going to be a chess champion. So not with that mindset, Connor.
It's a good point.
Not with that mindset.
I'll have the best movie podcast one day.
Hey, see, you didn't think that, did you? But yeah, it's the reason why I wanted to talk about her, or we wanted to talk about her. It's just crazy to me that after this performance, after this film, she's been in a lot. She's done surprisingly a lot of voice acting work. I was looking at her, filmography in preparation, and I forgot that she was in the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you ask anybody, even maybe fans, I don't know, they really wouldn't know who she is. I forgot her character's name. What is she?
Maz Kanata.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you're a big Star Wars fan. I forgot.
Yeah.
So did you know that she voiced? Oh, here we go. Did you know that she voiced Maz Kanata?
Not until we prepared for this episode.
See, exactly why we're doing this. We're spreading awareness.
Yeah.
She also
Preparing for this episode, I looked at like her filmography and I was like, Star Wars. Who the fuck?
And then of course she was in Black Panther, but I feel like she should have a lot more leading roles. And I'm happy we were going to talk about Black Panther, just so everyone knows, but then that was going to be Dan's film, and I did just rewatch it, but we're recording this pretty late at night too, so I think we're going to just skim over Black Panther. A big part of her career for sure, but then every actor in Hollywood has been in a Marvel movie now.
Yeah.
So it just feels less special.
Besides Leo.
Besides Leo and Timothy. Which is funny though. I always think about that. The fact that Leonardo DiCaprio's like, oh, don't do superhero movies, and Timothy's come out and said that. But then I also don't think that Leonardo DiCaprio would ever do Wonka. But Timothy did. But yeah, it's just crazy. And then she was also in do you know her other movie that's coming out this year, Connor? I don't know if you saw My Quiet Place Day One. I think you probably did, Morin.
I've heard about it mainly because of you, but I don't know much about it.
You know what it's called?
No.
I
don't remember.
It's called The Wild Robot.
The Wild Robot? Okay.
Yeah.
Which is interesting though, because it very much similarly looks like Wall-E. And I think it's cool. It's not like Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. Like, her name is plastered on this. And animation's doing really well in the theaters. freaking Inside Out 2 is going to pass $1 billion tomorrow, which is insane. And I also think Despicable Me 4 is about to come out. So the reason why I'm saying this is I want a movie that's starring Lupita Nyong'o, an animated movie, sure, to get $700-800 million. Now it's about a robot and not minions, so I don't know.
Wow.
You know my thoughts on Wally Stone, so I hope this one's better.
Oh, you watched a little snippet of you watched Despicable Me 4 already. How are the minions? How are the super minions?
I'm not the biggest fan of that movie. I don't want to bash it because I know a lot of people love Minions and Despicable Me, but it just wasn't for me. The jokes, it was better than the third one. So if you guys have seen the third one and you liked it, then you'll like this one. This one was better.
I don't think I've seen anything past the first.
Okay, yeah, you don't need
So,
to.
I think the only one I maybe watched, I watched The Rise of Gru, and I don't know why that's the only one I watched, but I was like, it's pretty. I don't know, these dudes are doing funny stuff, like slapstick. It's like the Three Stooges, kind of. That's really what they remind me of.
Yeah.
Do we want to get back to 12 Years a Slave?
12 Years a Slave. A really
Minions.
big diversion for that. Were you surprised, Connor, by the cast of this movie? The cast is
100%. Like, I knew Benedict was in it, but I had no idea about Fassbender, Paul Dano, or Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was the biggest surprise.
How on earth did you only know about Benedict? Like, I feel like he's the least person to know out of all of them.
He is, but I've talked to someone about the movie. I don't remember who it was. I think it was at my old job bartending, and they were like, "Oh yeah," like I overheard their conversation talking about it, and they mentioned Benedict, and for some reason that conversation stuck in my head. Other than that, I knew no one. Like,
yeah, Dano was a little shithead. Dano's really good at being a shithead.
I'm just saying, Paul Dano might be the most like undervalued actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one who deserves like a lead role. Like,
Yeah,
make him and Lupita in something together as like co-leads.
I'm trying to think, what has he been that he's like kind of a lead in?
I mean, he's
Dumb Money. Dumb Money.
Oh yeah, that was that last year too.
Dumb Money was bad.
Wins.
But I mean, like, he's not the lead, but he's like maybe the second most important character in There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense. Yeah, but I don't think he was even nominated for that film, which is a travesty.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I feel like 12 Years a Slave is probably. I mean, Morin, you even said it. You haven't watched it for 12 years. Whoa, no.
Like 13. Wait, no, 10.
11.
13. 10.
11.
Yeah.
I think it came out in 2013.
Guys, I know math is
That would have been a
hard.
while. 12 years.
Right, 12
years.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a movie that people don't go back to very often. It's just, it's not rewatchable. It is, the goal of it is to punch you in the gut, and it does a really effective job at that.
Yep.
I mean, movies like this need to be made and should be made, and when they do, they're so important and everyone should see them. And I feel like it's a film that people should always recommend just for someone who's never seen it before.
Yep, I agree.
It's just educational. And it's like, what it reminds me of is that when the Black Lives Matter movement started, one of my friends, my close friends, who's Black, she posted this story about her, you know, having racist remarks towards her. And I was very close with her, and I never knew that this happened to her. And I privately messaged her about it. And I told her that like, I never brought up this stuff because I just feel like it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like I feel uncomfortable talking about it to you. I feel like in a way, like we shouldn't talk about it because it brings it up kind of a thing. But I guess, and something that I've been really promoting is disableism. I talk about that a little bit on my TikTok, but the more you bring up these situations, the more that people realize it's a problem.
Yeah.
So in a way, not talking about it is the issue. And that was really enlightening to me. I mean, it's the same thing with this film. The more of these that are made, the more that nobody will ever think that this is okay ever again, kind of a thing.
It's true. But then, on the other hand, at least as a Black person, I feel like not all Black stories should be about slavery. That's a thing. That, you know, it's like there's other stories. That's why I wanted to choose Queen of Katwe to show a different, you know, story as well, you know, because it's good and informative to have those movies, like this, but then not, I'm tired a lot always seeing a new movie about slavery, about this. It's like kind of maybe go in a different direction with Black stories. So that I have two opinions on that. Like,
Well,
let's
that's kind of why I
see.
think that one of the most important movies ever is Remember the Titans.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Well, I feel like that's an incredible segue into our next film that we're going to be discussing, which is Us, because I think that is something that Jordan Peele does extremely well.
Yeah.
Obviously, his first film is in that ballpark, but the films that have previously, like Us, is not really in a way about racism. It has little undertones of it, but he is such a genius filmmaker that beyond that, there's so much more discussions about this movie's about America, is what it's really about. And then we have Nope, which also has little tiny bits of undertones, of black culture and the black horsemen and everything like that. But this is why his story should come first. And your story, if it's only that, like that's what's different than I think at 12 Years a Slave, because that is the story that fits. But
Yeah.
if you're trying to say a different genre and that's still is your core message or what you're basing your script off of, then it kind of feels flat in a way. And I totally agree, Morin. I looked when I rewatched this movie just now. If nobody knows, Us is about twins. It is about this family. It's got Winston Duke, Lupita Nyong'o, of course, and they have two kids, and they're just chilling. I think in like New Jersey, New York area. This might be California. I don't know. It's one of the coasts. There's a beach. But all of a sudden, people dressed in red who look exactly like them come to fucking murder them, and it's really entertaining. But yeah, this was Jordan Peele's second debut or second debut feature film, and a lot of people thought Lupita should have been nominated for this as well. But Maureen, did you get to? When's the last time you watched Us?
I think it's been about like 6-7 months,
Okay,
but I still kind of remember most of it. Yeah, it's been a little bit of time.
Connor, and then you rewatched it before the pod, correct?
No, this is the one movie I didn't get, or one of the movies I didn't get around to watching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had some family issues going on, so couldn't get to it.
If
And this
anybody
is,
doesn't know, Connor has a young child.
but this is the only one in Peele's filmography that I'm missing. So I was really looking forward to it.
It's not what people expected, I would say. It's completely. I love Peele so much. His films are very different from one another. That's the thing too. Is Peele? Imagine if Us had maybe like the same themes as Get Out, like we were saying more, and it's just like
Yeah.
reciprocating the same story over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like he's maybe a one hit wonder kind of a thing. I think that was really important to start off his filmography that way. And he was nominated for Best Picture. I just talked about it, one of the 6 horror films ever to be nominated. But Lupita, have you guys watched the Hot Ones interview with her yet?
No.
I've never seen a Hot Ones episode.
I think for us, honestly, I think Hot Ones is really good to, I mean, maybe our biggest star we have right now so far on our podcast is Morin, which is completely okay. Anybody who comes before her doesn't even come close to the greatness that she is.
Pops.
But honestly, it's the guy, Sean, he asks really good questions, really detailed questions. And he asked her about Us and what, so you don't know, I don't want to spoil anything for you, Connor.
You want me to walk away and then you just text me to come back?
No. But basically, Lupita is playing 2 different versions of herself that are very different characters. And her alternate ego, whose I believe character's name is Red, she talks with this one. She talks like this. Connor, she needs to kill everyone in that house. That's how she talks. And Sean Hot Ones host was asking her if she like what mentally did she do to put herself in that character's shoes, and she said she really didn't do anything, but she said in order to get that voice, she had to angle her body in a certain way. So when she was doing shots as that character, she would kind of walk around set like that, and people would like be hesitant to come up and see her a little bit.
That's funny as hell.
I know that.
Did you know that Winston Duke is in this, Connor? So Winston Duke plays
maybe.
M'Baku and Black Panther.
Yeah, I
And
know who he is.
yeah, Lupita and him are both together again in this film.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
I found out that they were in acting school together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was watching an interview with her, and she said that her and him actually went together to watch the Avengers together for the first time. And they're like, "How cool would that be if we were in one of those films?" And they were in Black Panther.
Wow.
I guess they were in
Also,
Avengers: Infinity War too, probably. I don't know if was Lupita in Avengers: Infinity War. I don't think she was.
Yes, she was.
Mm,
I don't think
I don't know.
so.
We can have some.
I don't know.
You guys talk us. I'll find out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but us, like, how does this rank? I'm curious. What do you think about Jordan Peele and like Morin, and how does this rank amongst his films for you so far?
Well, first of all, I think he's amazing. His films, like, they also have like a message to them as well. And I love the horror aspect. Like, I'm a big horror fan, so I love them. But I think in terms of ranking, actually, I think I'm gonna put Us first.
Ooh.
Then this is gonna be controversial. I know, Us, and then Get Out, then Nope. And like, I know a lot of people love Nope. That's first, but for me, maybe I need to go back and revisit it. I just didn't really connect to that movie as much as maybe some people did. So Nope was third, but Us was my favorite one out of the three.
Have you only watched Nope once?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I watched it the first time in theaters. I was
Mhm.
also disappointed,
Yeah.
and then I revisited it, and I think it was a lot. People didn't expect everything with the monkey,
Mhm.
and that kind of threw everyone off. So that threw me off when I first
Yeah.
saw it. So I was like, I don't know about that movie. But then I've done so much deep diving into the themes of the movie. You've watched Nope, Connor?
Yeah, it's just been since theaters, so my memory's a little shaky on it.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know why, but I was kind of hoping that you would just say nope in response because I thought it would be funny.
That's what I'm thinking too.
I hate you.
Yeah, but Us is there's so much. If you do detailed analysis on Us, like if you look up videos and stuff, there's so much hidden details in the script of this movie that is trying to drive home the message that Jordan wants you to know. Um, it's basically about the fact that whether it's America, whether it's white families, whether it's black families, everyone's kind of really superficial on the surface, and they're really empty inside. Whether it's they want material gain, whether it's promises that never get met. I didn't know this, Connor, but this is good context. There is a certain, this is all, I think Matt Pat, I don't know if you guys know who Matt Pat is, but he's a YouTuber and he did a really big deep dive. I recommend looking up his video about everything in this film. But basically I think you need to know historical context to understand this plot line a little bit. But there's these scenes about Hands Across America, which I believe happened in 1986, which was a movement to end, 1986, and movement to end homelessness, I believe. And it was all these people who connected hands literally across America. And at the very beginning of this film, there is a commercial for that. And then towards the end, there's a scene that very much resembles it. And what happened was there was millions and millions of dollars that were raised for the homeless. But guess what? They didn't get all that money because that's just how these charities go. So it's something that looks really good on the surface, but in reality, it wasn't self-sufficient for anybody. And that's kind of a tie-in to the whole film. I can't say the ending, but did you find the ending predictable, Maureen?
No, actually. I I wish I could talk more about it. Part of it,
You guys
yes,
talk.
but then part part of it, no. Like in regards to Lupita. Oh, he actually gone. He actually
Connor's gone, people.
he's gone.
All right, we can talk about it.
Okay, so in terms of her Red switching with her, I didn't see that coming. But then sorry, no, I'm mixing myself up. In regards to at the end, see now I feel like I'm forgetting the movie goes.
You're good. So yeah,
The boy remembering that, realizing that the mom is not her. I guess I kind of saw that coming, but then maybe like halfway through, I'm like, okay, I think they actually switched. But at the beginning, I would not have thought that the little girl switched at that moment in
No,
time. Like I
I
did
think it
not
was,
see
yeah.
that. But then later on, I'm like, something's
I,
off.
I think it's the way that like Peele framed it towards the end.
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of knew that a twist was coming,
Yeah.
and that was the expected twist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everyone thought, but it makes sense because she's the only one who can talk.
Yeah.
And then there's also like the mom kind of knew that the daughter was different. Like she says, "I want my daughter back," and that like calls back to the fact that it's not her daughter and her daughter's
Yeah.
missing. And there is so much. I guess that's all I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Connor can come back, but just
Mm-hmm.
things that, like I said, this breakdown talked about was the fact that is the Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke and that family, they're obsessed, or especially specifically Winston Duke. By the way, Connor, Winston Duke is so fucking funny in this movie. Every single line that he says, it's the
Mm-hmm.
funniest I think of any of the Peele movies. He is so funny. Everything that he says.
He might be my favorite in Black Panther. Second favorite.
Um, but besides Michael B. Jordan.
No, Shuri.
Oh shoot. Oh shoot.
I
Okay,
loved her
Mm-hmm.
in both.
that's cool. I
But
don't
yeah,
like the what I watched the Black Panther just a second ago. The what are those joke aged so poorly. That's why you don't do stuff like that in movies. Oh my gosh. But anyway, yeah, Winston Dugan. But basically, the main family of this film is not as wealthy as another family, and they're trying. And Winston Duke is always trying to one up this other friend of his, this white family, and they think their kids are better than them, and it's just a comparison and the fact that if we get more wealth we will be happier, and it just goes back to show you the fact that this other family is actually kind of sad, and it goes back to the whole hands across America thing, the fact that on the surface it seems like they have it all together, but in fact like the wife is getting plastic surgery done to herself, and they're just really mean to each other. And you would think that based on their wealth, based on their house, that wouldn't be the case. And it's kind of cool. This is not a spoiler, but it calls back to the theme. Is at the very beginning, Jordan Peele makes the specific choice of weirdly explaining the fact that there's tunnels all across America. There's empty tunnels throughout the entire country, and just the fact that underneath everything there is nothing. So really cool.
Oh, that's a good point.
Someone also, I haven't watched the Thriller music video in a long time, but I believe at the end of the Thriller music video, Michael Jackson switches with himself. Like he's not himself at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens in this movie, and the young Lupita Nyong'o is wearing a Thriller shirt. So it's just like little details like that. Something that also stood out to me. So the weapon of choice. Oh, something that's also cool too is that the weapon of choice for these people, the Reds, I'll call them the Reds because they're wearing red clothing, is scissors. They all have really sick scissors. There's so much detail. And the fact that these scissors are coated in gold. But it's the fact that material wealth can be the death of you, which calls back to the scissors being made of gold, but they're trying to stab someone. And something that's very interesting is that even though they have scissors, the scissors are never the things that kill the individuals. It's more materialistic things that are a sign of wealth. Like one character, oh, I don't want to spoil it, but even the tools that are used to kill every individual in this film is purposely designed that way. Um, Last thing I'll say is it's really cool because scissors are identical halves of one another that come together to divide something, and that's this film. It's two halves of someone coming together to divide um, chaos, which is what happens. But see, there's so much thinking in this.
are you okay, Stone?
Sorry, I'm like gawking. I'm
No,
Did
gawking
I
you
about
love
like
this
that.
do a
movie.
line of coke before you watched this movie?
I'm gawking at this movie, man. Actually, like after I watched it and I watched this recap, I was
Mhm.
just blown away by how much detail. That being said, I don't necessarily love the story structure. Um, there's a lot, there's a big gap in this film. It's kind of like very much three plots, and the second um, let me see, second third of the film is one big kind of chase. These people trying to get away from the Reds, and I just wish that was a little bit more entertaining, and they mixed up the setting just a little bit more. But it's a good film, Connor.
I'm very excited to watch it. Do we know when Peele's next film is yet, or what it is?
Yep. I think they said 2026. Am I wrong about that? Like, we thought it was next year, or was it? We thought it was this year, but then it's next. I don't know, but we were surprised.
October 23rd, 2026.
Yeah, I was like, what the
God,
heck?
that's going to be such a great year for film.
What
It's
else?
so long.
Dune 3.
Oh yeah,
I don't
they
think that's
announced
happening.
it.
I
You don't
think
know?
people are so high to ride that train, hoping that that's Dune. Dune Messiah is supposed to be like 10 years after the events of, or even more years after the events of Dune
But
Part
wasn't
2.
it just announced the other day that Denise said 26?
Yeah, there's his next film, and everyone thinks that he came out saying stuff about Dune Messiah. But so people are like putting the pieces together. It's not confirmed, but everyone is running with it
Oh,
because
I
that's
thought
what they're
it
hoping.
said it was Doom Messiah. Okay, maybe I read that wrong.
12 hours ago, Warner Bros. Has officially stated that a new film by Denis is for December 18th, 2026. So you are definitely right, Stone.
Wow, new film, but
So
not.
everyone, yeah. And even then, like, okay, so I just didn't read on it enough because, like, people were saying, or I think even Denis said, like, he wants to do one film in between this and Dune 3. So,
But then Warner Brothers prints him a big old fat check. He's like, "What if we made it your next movie? It did really well for us."
I know we're supposed to be talking about us right now, but this might be my hottest take. I think Denis is better than Nolan.
I think they're very similar.
I have to see more of his films first in order to make that judgment. I've seen a lot of Nolan, but I haven't seen a lot of Denis.
I think I've seen everything from both of their filmographies. Besides, I think I'm missing 2 of Denis' international films. But
You haven't seen it on Sunday. Oh, did you? You
no,
did
I
watch on
did watch
Sunday.
On Sunday.
Uh,
I think I have that as his third best.
On Sunday's a really good movie. I just think they're very similar. I actually made this point because I talked about hopefully Nosferatu being nominated for Best Picture this year. I think it has a really good chance, specifically because of its release date being released that late in the year. But I don't think because Dune Part 2 is probably the front runner right now for Best Picture. That is until Sing Sing comes out. I am super excited for Sing Sing. It comes out next month. That is a movie I've wanted to watch for a very long time. That has a lot of award buzz around it with Coleman Domingo. But I think that Dune Part 2 is too thematically, cinematically similar to Oppenheimer. I really think they're really large scale, blockbuster y type movies that like Denis and there's a reason why everyone who likes Christopher Nolan likes Denis Villeneuve. It's because they're very similar filmmakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're larger than life projects with big scores, incredible visuals, big actors. They're very similar guys.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
I don't
why
dis
I think that the Academy would try to go for something different. I don't know.
maybe, but it's also the Academy who kind of does
Mhm.
the same thing repetitively.
Disagree. Everything Everywhere All at Once is not similar to Oppenheimer,
Well,
which is not
okay.
similar to Coda, which is not similar to Parasite. They're all very different movies.
I just can't picture Dune 2 winning Best Picture. I
I
mean,
can't believe it.
it's a great movie,
It will
but
get
I don't know.
nominated.
I just
It will
can't
get
see.
nominated.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, we still have 7 months left of movies to come out, but then I'm trying to think of any other movies that could beat that. Then it's I don't know.
It almost would have been smart for him to wait till like November, December to release it, just because then all that hype would have led into award season.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know? Have you heard of Sing Sing?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I've seen a couple reviews about it on TikTok from like festivals, and people are saying it's amazing. It's about
I don't think it's a musical, right? It's about
no.
theater, but it's not a musical.
Is it like something about like men in jail
Yeah, it
and
says
they yeah.
in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Divine G finds purpose by acting. Okay, acting, my bad. In a theater group alongside other incarcerated men, including a wary newcomer. I has Coleman Domingo in it, and it's insane to me because he was just nominated and he's probably gonna get nominated again. I'm super happy for him. I love Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, he's good.
But Lupita Nyong'o, she's pretty good.
Back on topic.
A little good transition there, but yeah,
Mhm.
I don't think Lupita Nyong'o is going to get nominated for The Wild Robot or A Quiet Place Day One, unfortunately.
Mhm. I don't think so either.
But you guys want to talk about Queen of Katwe?
Absolutely.
This is Morin. Do you want to talk about what this film is about?
Sure. So this film is about a young girl named Fiona Mutesi, I believe. She lives in the slums of Katwe, Uganda. Sorry, And I wrote a little bit down here. And she and her family are very poor. They live in the slums and they sell, corn on the streets. But then there is a missionary named Robert. I want to get his last name for you guys. Robert Katende, played by David Oyelowo, and he teaches young kids chess. And then, these Fiona and her family, her brothers, they also are learning chess with him. And then they find out that she's actually pretty skilled in chess. So she decides to actually want to pursue chess. And then she enters into some chess competitions. And then her trying to change her family's life, pretty much. That's kind of like the consensus of this movie. And I think it's a really good film because it showcases Uganda as a country. Because most people think, if you look at the screen right there, that it's very poor. I mean, it is true. There are some parts that are poor, and a lot of people view African countries that not a lot are going on. And I think this film really showcases the beauty of an African country, and also that there are people in different countries that are actually skilled as well. Because in this movie, a lot of the people think that children who grow up very poor can't achieve anything in their life, and this film shows that you can. And then also going and talking about Lupita plays Fiona's mother in this film, and she's also very good as well. So that's just a little bit of a background of this movie, and I'll talk about it more in a bit. But yeah, I'm just rambling on right now. But yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that it highlights like Uganda as kind of like a happy place in a way. People do call it the ghetto in this film, but I wrote on my letterbox review is the fact that especially towards the end, everyone just is so happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially the fact that I feel like a lot of Americans would look at this as a third world country, and I don't know really what the definition of that is, but I think it's more of a mindset. Like for some reason, I feel like when people think about third world country, it's everyone is poor, begging, and it's like no, this is a society of individuals who just have houses that look like this, and this is how they live their lives, and this is how they work and they play and they have fun, and they achieve their dreams, kind of a thing. But I agree, it did a really good job of. I love movies set in like a country or an area, or even with a sport that I'm not really familiar with. Do you guys play chess?
No.
I've dabbled. I was in
so
chess club in 5th grade.
How are you? I mean, you don't play anymore, so you weren't that good. Sorry.
I've dabbled in the last year.
For our audio listeners, Connor just gave me the middle finger. He didn't appreciate that. Well, I'm just being observant. I will say I was really excited. I was really excited to have Dan on because I know Dan's a really big chess player. So I was gonna be like, whoa, Morin recommended him this film. I can't wait for him to watch it. And talk to me about what does it mean when the horse goes that way and the king goes this way. And but he's not here. So
Do you not know that?
I didn't know that he's big into chess. That's cool.
Stone, do you not know the way the pieces move?
I don't know shit. I know
Oh, and you're claiming that I suck?
I didn't say that I was good.
You let our audience to believe it. At least I know the way the pieces move.
Sure, that doesn't mean you're good.
Better than you, probably.
Yeah, he's still a little better than you, though. Even me too. I have no idea how chess works. So
yeah, my wife understands basketball. It doesn't mean she's going to be good at it. Not to bash my wife in anyway.
Yeah, literally, your wife's not even here, and you're just throwing shade at her.
Yeah, hopefully she can't hear me. She's in the other room. I will say something that I thought was very interesting when we're talking about Lupita in this film. I want to say more, and I did really enjoy this film. It's a really good feel-good movie. I think I spoke about it earlier, but I love the fact that it's a sports movie from Disney. That guess what? It didn't get a lot of recognition, or nobody's seen it, and it doesn't surprise me, which is super sad.
And I also feel like because it was based in Africa, and movie kind of like this focus, that's why it also didn't do very well, which is unfortunate. But I think that's part of the reason. And it's a really good movie too. And the fact that not a lot of people saw it based on a true story and everything. Yeah.
It didn't, and it was 2016 too. So this is before Disney Plus. So I'm assuming that this probably got a long theatrical release in theaters. I'm
I think
assuming.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing it in theaters because I think I worked at the theater at the time that this came out.
What theater did you work at?
Cinemark.
What'd you do? Were you like a popcorn guy, a theater a dude? I don't know the
We were
hierarchy.
rotating. I cleaned theaters. I worked the concession, or I told people where their theater was.
What was your favorite thing to do?
Clean theaters.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, because it was the easiest job. It was the chillest because like you literally just got to watch the final 10 minutes of movies and then just sweet popcorn. Now, let me tell you, there are some nasty motherfuckers out in this world. Off on a little side tangent. There was one night, this woman came out. I think it was Deadpool opening night, or the following weekend, and she came out and she's like, "Hey, there's this guy and girl in front of me making a lot of noise."
Nice.
And I was like, got it. So I went in there and I was like, just like go to your car or something. I'll let you back in. I don't care, but not here. What the fuck?
Nice.
And then they like were like, oh no, we're okay, we're okay. And then like they just sat there and then like 10 minutes later, same elderly woman came out and was like, hey, they're doing it again. So I had to go with the cop and kick them out.
There's an elderly woman watching Deadpool. That's what I got from that story.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what
it's insane. Like the amount of times I got yelled at as a kid, by the way, I was 16 working in a movie theater for parents that would bring their children to go see Sausage Party or Deadpool was insane.
I mean, it's like the beginning of media illiteracy, you know? People just don't think. And they just
Yeah.
they just assume like that's why it's also bad that people always think that animated films are for children because they're not always for children.
Well, yeah, and that was her biggest argument. Like, I was like, we warned you at
What do
the
you want me
box
to
office.
do?
Yeah, I was like, we warned you at the box office because this was like before Fandango was huge. And then I was like, and when they told you where your theater was. And then I was like, also, just look up a trailer. And it's called Sausage Party.
I mean, yeah.
And then she was like, well, my kids watch cartoons at home. I'm like, do they watch Family Guy or South Park? And she's like, no, those are adult cartoons.
This is the same thing.
That's crazy.
I will say with the speaking of children Disney movie Queen of Katwe, nice little segue back there. But I was gonna say Lupita Nyong'o. I put in my review. I was again a little bit disappointed with this film because I think they spend more time talking to the minister, her coach Robert, more than her mom, just a little bit.
Mm.
And I wish that there was more interactions with the mother because I thought that was way more interesting. There's like certain sequences where she goes to a tournament or a match or something like that. Either she wins or she loses. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what her mom's going to think of this because her mom at first is not very traditional story, but is not on board with her doing chess. But then she never like goes to her. It's like kind of always to the coach. And I'm like, well, what happened? And then that match is kind of out of your mind and it's gone. And I was like, but you know,
Yeah, that's true.
that was something I was looking forward to. That I thought their dynamic was super interesting too. Lupita is really great in the film. I think that they didn't give her enough.
Exactly. I know. So when I was picking this movie too, like I knew that she's in it, but not a lot. But then the story's so good, I want this movie to be known and talked about. And my other option was going to be Little Monsters. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
I watched that this week.
Yeah. So that was going to be my other choice because Lupita's like the main character in that, or one of. But I'm like, this one's a good story, so I want to talk about it a little bit.
I watched Little Monsters in excitement because I was like, oh, this could be my pick. It's Lupita and it's zombies, and the movie sucks.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought that movie was terrible.
I didn't think it was bad.
Oh,
The main character.
It's a Hulu original, right? I think it's a Hulu original film. Maybe. No?
I don't think so. I watched it on Tubi, but I know it was like an independent movie, so I don't even know how much that made either. But I think it was the main character, whoever played like that Dave guy. He was very annoying, so that was bothering me the whole time. But I thought it was cute having the kids, you know, the zombies. Even Josh Gad, I thought he was funny.
I do love Josh Gad.
But yeah, I thought it was a good film.
Well, I was going to ask you guys if it was good. So I have to watch it now. I have to be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
I will say something that's interesting, talking about that Hot Ones interview again. She actually talked about that film a little bit, and she felt a really big connection with the fact that I believe the movie ends with, this might be what got her doesn't like it, ends with Shake It Off, correct?
That's like a big thing throughout the whole movie, but I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Taylor Swift, so
Oh, okay. I didn't. Look at
That
that.
was
What's your
the
favorite? You're a Swiftie. What's your favorite Swiftie song, my guy?
I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie. My wife definitely is, though, but my favorite Taylor Swift song forever will be You Belong With Me.
That's a good one. Yeah.
What
I was
about
gonna
you?
try to think of the lyrics, but then I remember the music video. It's like her looking like a dweeb in the next house over, and she's like, "I miss you" or something like that. Mine is Clean from 1989's album. Yeah, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. I actually listened to quite a bit of this.
No, I'm definitely a stan more than I am a Swiftie.
What's
Eminem.
what? Oh, my bad. Don't
The
people
la-
like use that term for other things though? Like I'm a stan.
Yeah,
Like,
but it started with Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
all right, there you go. Did you know
But
that one?
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh man, look at me.
yeah, I'm pretty sure the last 4 years I've been in the top 0.5% of Eminem listeners on Spotify.
Damn. Anyways, Taylor Swift. The reason why I brought it up was because what's your favorite Taylor Swift song, Morin?
Oh,
Do you
back to
listen to it?
December. Yeah, I listened to like
Oh.
older stuff. I think after maybe like 2015 is kind of where I stopped. So everything before then, love, but after that, I haven't really gotten into.
All right, I have to tell you guys this story, a little tangent. So my wife wanted to go to Taylor Swift, so we got the Capital One credit card to get early access to hopefully get tickets, and she got tickets. And my plan was you can only buy 4 at a time, so we bought 4, and there's only the 2 of us going. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to sell the other 2, right? So we put them up on the marketplace to sell. Well, they didn't sell for a while, and then I also kind of almost promised a friend that I was going to give her the tickets. Then I didn't. Then they didn't sell for a while, and I thought I was going to medical school, so I actually gave her 3 out of our 4 tickets because then my wife was going to be the other ticket. She's really good friends with her too, so they're going to go together. So I gave her the 3 tickets, whatever. Well, like 2 days ago, someone bought the 2 tickets from Ticketmaster. We fucking forgot that we put them up there. So they bought them for $2,700, which really made me regret the fact that I gave them to my friend because that's a lot of money that would have been really good in our pocket right now. I couldn't say like, hey, can I have them back? I'll pay the difference. No. So I wonder how that works. So I guess maybe we have to, let's say they bought them for $2,700. If they find tickets that are $2,900, we have to pay the difference. I don't know how we're gonna get in trouble if we don't pay the difference, but yeah. So fun
I've never
tangent.
heard of it.
That's how that
But
works.
are you allowed to? How does that work?
I don't know. I hope I don't have to pay any money to anybody because I didn't have the tickets. I thought I could just say, "Oops, my bad, I don't have them." But they like
Yeah.
punish you if you say that you have them.
Mhm.
It's not like I'm taking the money from them. I'll give it back.
Mhm.
But anyways, Taylor Swift, Little Monsters. Lupita Nyong'o got really connected with that song being in the film, Shake It Up, and they couldn't get the licensing deal.
Shake It Off.
Shake It Off. Oh, my bad.
And you're the Swiftie here.
Yeah. 1989 album. But they couldn't get it in the film. So she personally wrote a letter to Taylor Swift explaining why she thought that song meant so much to the movie, so much to her, and why it was perfect. And somehow magically, it got put back in the movie. And she still hasn't met Taylor Swift after that happened. But it wouldn't be in the movie. That wouldn't be part of the film. I don't think if it wasn't for Lupita.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I really hope I don't have to pay somebody for those tickets, man. Don't think about it. It wasn't you, Connor. You didn't buy them, right? It was in New Orleans. No?
No, it wasn't me. Dude, dog, I got a child at home. I don't have money to spend $2,700 on Taylor Swift tickets right now. I don't know how much you think I'm pulling in on the side for this.
Do we make money on our podcast? We don't make money, do we? You haven't told- Okay.
We're like,
We're close.
wait a second.
We're close. If you're listening to this for the first time, hit the subscribe button. We're like 13 followers away from being able to do it.
Oh shoot. We'll talk about that, I guess, off like how that works. I want to know it now, but it's great. But yeah, the chess is a very
Yeah.
interesting game. It was cool to see the fact of how far this could take Fiona, because she goes to Sudan in the film. She is in Uganda. I got a little bit confused about how the whole process worked. Because at the very end of the movie, I don't think you got to finish it, Connor, but it's really cool. They have the actors like pose, and then the actual real life people come and like hug them or like stand with them for a second. Really cool exchange. Also to see, ooh, this person looks like this person, you know. But one of the individuals in her group that was also doing chess, it seemed like she also won the exact same competition that she won at the very end. I forgot what it was called. It's a very long name, but it said that she also won that exact same thing, I believe. So in a way, I was like, I'm not trying to take away anything that Fiona did, but I was like, isn't her story just as cool? Because I think that's the driving force of this movie is the fact that
Someone from
Katwe, you know,
yeah.
Uganda, can go get this far. So I thought that was very interesting. Maybe I have to revisit it, but it also seemed like a friend of hers. He was a really good coach, I guess. But speaking of which, that's a cool dynamic of this film too. Not to cut you off there, Morin, but the fact that she's so uneducated because of her upbringing that actually hinders her from being good right away. And her coach allows her to read and write a little bit, and she tries really hard to get educated. That way, she can be better at chess. I thought that was a really interesting part of her story.
Oh yeah. I agree too. And then also for them to take her in and like him and his wife. And then I think also at the very end, you know, when they stood next to the real life person, I think I read that they also brought in I can't remember the names.
There's a lot of kids.
Yeah, a couple of the other kids, like they also brought them into their home and everything like that too. So I thought that was really nice as well. I just can't remember the two characters' names, but
What I thought was very fascinating, and I know this is based on a true story, was the fact that he wasn't like a chess, like him being a good teacher. He wasn't like a chess champion or anything. He was a
no.
soccer player
Yeah.
that just happened to like chess, and he's like, "Let me teach all these kids." Maybe he should have, instead of done soccer, maybe he should have been a chess champion.
Right.
It's
Did
just
pretty-
not as
pretty good job.
popular.
I
And
don't
did they
know.
ever
Maybe
show him playing in the
What was that?
movie? Did they ever show him actually playing chess? I'm thinking about
They showed the
oh,
flashback of him at college when he was
okay.
like playing it to like win some money.
Okay.
And then like obviously he's like half playing when he's like kind of showing him how the pieces move. But other than that, I don't believe so.
I thought that was very interesting. I think like at the very beginning, he's like just sitting there watching all these kids play soccer, and he's like, "You guys ever played chess before?"
Yeah,
I'm
that
pretty sure
was interesting.
that's how it goes. Which is cool. I mean, we don't know. Or Connor knows. I guess it's not that good of a game since you quit, but quitter. But
Hey, I just played it like less than a year ago. Technically haven't officially quit yet.
okay, explain. It's a really hard. Is it a hard game to understand?
I think it's hard to understand situations.
Because you got to know 8 or 9 moves ahead. That's what Fiona did. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
fuck that. I
stopped
know
at-
like I barely know my next move, let alone my opponent's.
Yeah, that's why your career ended early, probably.
Ooh.
Lasted longer than yours, Chief.
I'm gonna learn how to do chess. I really am.
You know what? Let's just download the chess app and we'll just play each other virtually.
I don't know. Maybe more. Maybe you could play with us too.
I know I'm gonna
What
lose.
okay, does there any? You might know this, Connor. With the like thing they slap, is is there any penalty for how long? Like I'm assuming that's time. Like it's your turn. But does
I
that
actually,
count?
I
Does
don't
that
think
calculate
it's like,
your overall score?
no, I don't think it's like a 30-second. It's like an actual timer. I think for how long you have to play. And I forget how long it is. I don't know. Let's say it's 10 minutes. I know that's wrong. So let's just put that out there. But like, you could take 5 minutes on one turn and like 10 seconds on the next. I'm pretty sure is how it works.
Many tournaments will have fast. Oh, one. I don't know. I don't know if they're just.
But I think that's how it works. So like basically you just have 10 minutes to use in your time.
Okay, the most popular time. There's gonna be someone who's listening to us who plays chess, but like these dummies. The most popular time control in the United States gives each player 2 hours for the first 40 moves. Chess takes that long. I thought it would have been cool if a chess movie came out one day that me and Dan and you like play games while we're actually like doing a podcast episode. Never mind. I don't know how we would do that, like virtually on the screen somewhat,
No, we can
but
figure it out.
yeah, I didn't. That's a long ass game. Chess takes that long. Jeez.
Yeah. Jesus. Anyway, do you want to move on to Black Panther? Do a quick summary, our thoughts?
Yeah, we can do Black Panther if you want.
Was
How do you like How do you like Black Panther?
I think it's a little overrated. I think the CGI doesn't look good. I think the movie kind of gets overhyped a lot because of Killmonger. While he is a great villain in itself, I think it's mostly because of Michael B. Jordan's acting. But I think it's slightly overrated. I think Wakanda Forever is better.
What do you think, Morin?
I also agree about the overrated thing. I never was a big fan of Black Panther. I thought it was a good movie, but I just didn't get the hype too much about it. In Killmonger as well, he wasn't even my favorite villain. How do I say this? I feel like with Killmonger as well, I kind of understood where he was coming from in a way. So I think also with that too, like the movie, it didn't really work for me. The Black Panther himself, like Chadwick, he was great. I like that. But then other than that, the movie didn't really bring much for me, in my opinion. And that, yeah, I also do think Wakanda Forever is better.
It's shot better. Wakanda Forever looks a lot better visually,
Yeah.
I'd say, than the first one. I don't know. It's kind of sad. I haven't watched a Marvel movie in a long time, and I kind of watched this one literally right before we got on to record, and I was like, "All right, that's fine." I was like, "Okay." The one thing that did stand out to me, besides Lupita Nyong'o, can I just say, what movie did I want to talk about that with? She is beautiful. She is a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I think it might have been this one, yes, because Chadwick was falling all over her and he froze. Don't freeze. I never freeze. He froze big time, and I get why. Like she is gorgeous. That's all I want to say. But yeah, I thought Andy Serkis does a really funny, goofy villain guy, and I really liked him because I can't. He might. I think maybe he plays a villain in King Kong. But besides that, I can't think of maybe any other films where he does that. I might have to look at his
Gollum.
filmography.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gollum, I guess.
Oh, guys, stop! Yeah, you're right, kind of. Well, actually,
Kind of?
him. Okay, hold on. His actual form.
Okay. Oh, as
Technically
himself.
was his actual form.
Oh, that was him.
No, but Black Panther 1, I think what I do like about it better than number 2, I think Kendrick did a better job with the soundtrack than Rihanna, which I think is a hot take as well.
I think I also agree.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Kendrick didn't do. Rihanna was like behind the second one entirely.
Not entirely, but I mean Kendrick wasn't behind the first one entirely either. Like, but they were the like main people on the
I guess I
soundtrack.
got you. I got you.
Yeah. But no, it's just that like final fight, especially when they're like falling down into the like train system under Wakanda. Like, I remember walking out of the theater in 2018 and being like, that fight looked like dog shit. And like I wasn't even into movies that like crazy back then. And the CGI in that does not hit.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I will say, just thinking about us and watching this movie, it just makes me want every actor who hasn't been in a Jordan Peele movie yet to be in one. Like Angela Bassett.
Oh,
Oh, she would be good.
okay.
You got Winston Duke and you got Daniel Kaluuya. I love Daniel Kaluuya, and then also obviously the Lupita Nyong'o. So that's like the first thing that came to mind. I was like, wow, these guys have been all in Jordan Peele movies.
I want to see Michael B. Jordan in one.
Oh shit, I didn't think about him. Yeah.
Mhm.
But he's doing something I found out really interesting. Fun fact for you guys. I was listening to a podcast today about this. But Ryan Coogler actually has a movie coming out next year, I believe, with Michael B. Jordan about vampires, right?
Vampire.
It's like a twin vampire, like two vampires.
I think so. Yeah, that one sounds really interesting. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I feel like he's doing like a Peel thing. Like he's doing his own original films, but he's making them larger than life kind of thing, like blockbusters, which I'm super excited for. Like I wanted to talk about that with us, but the fact that I've always seen Jordan Peele as like the next Spielberg. Like his movies just feel like events, and they're really original and new, fresh ideas. Well, Spielberg's adapted quite a bit, but I don't know. I just feel like he feels like a director that's larger than life with his projects in an interesting way, but also like a fun way. Like Nope is kind of fun. Like there are horror elements to it, but like a dude riding on a horse away from a giant flying saucer is kind of dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Ryan Coogler's film, I guess he set up a deal with whatever studios behind it that after 20 years, he gets to own that movie fully and they don't get to have any part of it. And it's really weird, like, and the fact that he's kind of betting on himself, as in, it's basically like, just in case his career isn't the same in that time frame, he always has that to fall back on to like fund his family and everything, kind of a weird, interesting way. Like that's like Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner has that Horizon, an American Saga film out right now. Like he owns all of that. Like he funded it himself. He will always own that movie, and hopefully, some streaming service somewhere will make a deal with him to stream it. And that's always he maybe coughed up a lot into it. It might be in debt originally, but that's kind of what Ryan Coogler's doing in the future. Is that he's planning for the future, as in 20 years down the line, I want to own this movie completely, kind of a thing. Fun fact. But
Which seems like a smart move.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to speak on something when it comes to Lupita, and talking about her beauty and everything that I found interesting when I was doing my research. I didn't know this, and Morin, you might be familiar with this, but I didn't realize what colorism is.
Mm, yeah.
Can you describe to me and tell us like what colorism is? Because you might have a
Yeah.
better definition than what I could supply.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if this is a great definition, but colorism is when, let's just say, a Black person like me, we come in all different shades. So some are lighter, some are darker. And we do find that with those who are a darker shade, maybe you don't get as much opportunities, or people don't maybe look to you for certain aspects. And if you're lighter skin, you do get more opportunities for whether it's acting or just jobs or anything like that. And it is a real thing. A lot of people don't say, oh, colorism isn't real, but it is. And we do see that within Hollywood, whereas maybe lighter skin Black actresses or actors do get more roles than people who are darker skin. So that's kind of the gist of what colorism is. And it is prevalent right now. And it is a problem, unfortunately. And I do think we are seeing that with Lupita, which is on our topic for today, because with an Oscar winning actress, where are her roles? Why isn't she getting anything? And she's amazing. So I don't know if it's her, turning down parts, but I do think colorism plays a factor in that for sure.
I think maybe it does.
Mhm.
I don't know, because the reason why I brought it up is I try to do as much research as I can before we talk about our topics, and I found out that she
Mhm.
actually wrote a children's book about it called Sulway. And actually, you can listen to the entire thing audio version on YouTube. And I did that right before we started recording. But yeah, it's called Sulway, and it's about this little girl who battles with colorism. I think it's based on her true life because Lupita Nyong'o is very dark, and I believe that basically her family is a variation of being colored. Like her mother's a little bit lighter than her. Her father's even lighter than her mother, and her sister was super light. And that's a direct reflection of what happens in the book as well. And I don't know if everything in the book was true, like, but I can only imagine like kids who think this mindset go through this. But she was like eating lighter foods, like stuff like that can go through the your mind. Just any hope at all to try to make your pigment brighter is wild. But she said something that was a true story that she did was there's a page of the book where it's the little girl praying to God and asking God to change her color, make her lighter, and she would pray that a lot of nights. In the morning, she would wake up and check the mirror to see if it worked. I was like,
Jesus
that's really,
Christ.
yeah. I was like, man, that's tough as a kid to think that. I can only imagine.
Mhm.
But it was really good though. It's so Sulwe means star, and I think maybe Kenyan. And what happens is she goes on like this astronomical journey, and she meets like day and night, and you find out that the day was favored a lot, but if you have too much of the day, then it kind of becomes miserable. So the nighttime is actually very valuable, and these stars show her this, and that makes her really comfortable in her own skin, seeing this, you know, out of this world experience that she got dreaming one night, I believe. But yeah, so wait, it was I was like, oh, that really made me. I was
Yeah.
like, poor Lupita. Like I said, Lupita's. The colorism is. Like, I think I didn't look up why did Lupita not get any roles in Hollywood, but it's just a true fact that you don't see people as dark as her, or even like Daniel Kaluuya should have a lot more roles, and he just
Mhm.
doesn't. Did he win for Judas and the Black Messiah? I believe so, right?
That sounds right.
Okay, I believe he did win the Oscar for Judas and the Black Messiah
I
in
don't know.
2022, I believe.
The one
Okay.
actor I'm thinking too, like that, is like that. Who's the actor in Rebel Moon? The like best actor out of all of them, the black guy in it.
Oh, Digimon Hansu.
Hansu. Yeah, he's
Yes,
got something.
Yeah.
he is amazing in
Mhm.
everything I've seen him in,
Yep.
and I'm happy that I'm like seeing him in more and more. I just hope it's not more and more like Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
Well, Connor, I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's actually a movie in theaters right now with him in it. It's called A Quiet Place Day One, and perfect. I mean, it's just crazy how that happened. Wow. But yeah, me and more.
What what a
Sorry, I thought that
crazy
was
transition.
wow, that was perfect. You were really right though. I was thinking about it though. I haven't watched another or enough movies with him in it, but I don't think there's maybe an actor who's as good as him who does not get the attention as much as he deserves it. Like he deserves leading roles, unlike Lupita, who does get them, not as much as she needs it or
Mhm.
deserves to. But I don't think besides Blood Diamond and he's like in Gladiator, besides that, he doesn't get anything. He just works his ass off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quiet Place Day One in theaters right now. This is the prequel that me and Morin have watched. Connor's not watched it, but we're going to discuss our thoughts on it really briefly. But this is not directed by John Krasinski. It has a new director who is the director of Pig, which was the Nicolas Cage hunt down, give me my pig back movie. I didn't get a chance to watch that. Have you guys watched Pig?
I have not.
I haven't yet.
Okay,
My Nicolas Cage knowledge is awful.
we're about to do an episode on him, so we gotta
Yeah, I know.
we're gonna discuss Longboy, so we gotta read up. But Michael Sarnowski is his name. But I think that yeah, this is a prequel. Happens in New York City. Lupita Nyong'o plays a woman. I don't want to give away certain characteristic about her because I feel like it's very important to the story. But she meets Joseph Quinn during the day one of this apocalypse with what did I call them? The Dream Catchers? No, not the Dream Catchers. What are their names?
Dark Angel, I think.
Dark or
Dark,
Death
Dark Angel?
Angels.
Death Angel. Okay, yeah, Death
Is
Angel.
that? I didn't get a chance to revisit the other movies. I don't know. Is that just something like in the mythology? I don't. No, probably in one of the movies. Like someone's like, we call them Death Angels.
I can't even remember. I feel like I just heard it in an interview, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're called, but I can't remember.
That's a weird name. I mean, not to get off topic, but that I wouldn't have called them Death Angels.
So,
Um, I'm trying to think what are those things called like that bats have?
So-
The
Sonar?
yeah or no, is it? It's not just called sonar, right? Uh,
yeah.
sorry. Hold on, we're gonna come
I
up
don't
with a
know.
name real quick.
I can tell you sharks have ampullae of Lorenzini.
Well, guess what? That doesn't help me out right now.
It's kind of similar to the motion you were doing.
That's
Well,
right.
while Stone looks that up,
Mhm.
Nice
the
plug. Nice
first
plug,
one,
though. I say, Connor, what are we talking about next week?
sharks. I'm very excited. I don't think
Shark
you're ready for my outfit, Stone. Um,
I'm scared, but I'm pumped.
Yeah, I would
Anyway.
love for all you guys to be wearing like a shark outfit. That'd be so cool.
Damn,
that would
Lamont.
be hilarious.
Damn, Lamont.
Dan's too serious. He needs to enjoy life more.
Yeah.
I love you, Dan, if you're listening. No, but when I saw not this one, obviously, but the first Quiet Place in 2018, it was great because I was still in the Marine Corps at that time. And like me and my three closest friends at that time all got sick with the same thing, and it was like that sickness where like you can't hear shit because your ears just feel clogged. So we went and watched A Quiet Place, and it was fantastic.
Well, yeah.
It was echolocation, by the way.
It's like the same thing as what I said.
Sonar? Nah, that's not fun. I can't think of a better name for these guys off of that though. I'm trying to be really quick with it, but anyways, Morin, I don't know. You discuss your thoughts a little bit on this movie. I
Okay.
know you saw my video on it, but I
Yeah.
want to hear what you thought about it.
Okay. So I feel like I'm going to contradict myself a lot here, but so I will say I was disappointed in the movie based off what I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to try and make sure I don't spoil anything. I thought the movie was going to focus more on day one, like the whole thing was going to be day one, figuring out more about these death angels, aliens, whatever, and understand them more. Maybe people trying to figure out you need to be quiet in order not to be killed, things like that, and maybe follow Lupita's character, maybe Joseph Quinn, and then them working together with New Yorkers in this big city to figure this out. That's what I thought this movie was going to be about. And because it wasn't like that, that's where I guess the disappointment came in. But then once I shifted my thought process, I'm like, okay, this is not the suspenseful, quiet place I'm used to. It's not the horror aspect. This is more of an emotional drama with this character and her relationship with Eric. I think Sammy and Eric together. And then it's not a fight for survival like the other two are.
Well, in a
Then,
weird way, it is. We won't spoil anything, but weird way it is with her.
I mean, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're
Yeah,
good. You're good.
I was like, okay, no, let me think about it that way. I liked it. I know I might be in the minority here, but I'm like, okay, this is actually a good movie. I kind of tear it up a little bit. It touched me, so that's why I like this movie. I think more than others, but you go ahead.
Well, I would say I think you're not in the minority. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people do enjoy this. I guess someone said that it's a spoiler on my when I talked about it because the realization that I had an issue with happens within the first 15 minutes of the movie. Connor, and I'll
Mhm.
just let you know what it is. It's not a spoiler because it happens so early on. What? Oh, you're muted, but I'm sure whatever you're saying is really good.
My apologies.
You're good.
I said I watched your video, but like tell our audience. But my opinion, I don't think it felt like a spoiler.
Okay, it's just annoying. It's really yes, it's not what I expected. I expected the same thing as Morin, but the thing is, I think that that should have happened because what did happen is a major plot hole. Because it seems like the characters watched the other films, and their Lupita Nyong'o's character gets knocked out, and as soon as she gets knocked out, they all know everyone who wakes her up, they all know that they have to be quiet. Now, I said I understand that in a situation, no matter what is going on, that you think your life's in danger, you're going to be silent. But there's a certain scene where there's a ripping of clothing, I will say. And I'm not going to say what happens after that scene, but the characters look at each other like it is the end of the world. Like they know that that clothing, that shirt should not have ripped. And I do not think that's realistic. I think that is a fact that they somehow know already that these monsters get around by sound. And I think it was a missed opportunity because I think the story would have been really good if these people were trying to survive, trying to be quiet, but they couldn't figure out why they kept on dying. It's because they are being quiet, but they aren't being silent. And they figured that out at the very end of the movie, and boom, you have a quiet place. And especially with like New Yorkers, I think like that's what maybe the idea was at the beginning of the script. I was like, what if we put a quiet place in the noisiest city on earth? Whoa, right? I'm like, that's a good idea. Well, then New York gets super quiet like 10 minutes in. And I'm like, well, that was a big old letdown.
Right.
It's just, I don't, I think this movie could, like, a lot of people thought it was going to be action packed. That's not necessarily what I need because I would say there is one scene, no spoilers, that you see a lot of people in New York and consequences happen. And I thought that was executed really well. But I think there just should have been more individuals in this movie based on the setting, and it just would have been a lot more entertaining. Now, what Morin said, I don't know if you're here, Connor, is very true. There is an emotional beat of this movie that is very effective, very unexpected, and it leads to one of the best scenes in the entire franchise for sure. I just think that that should have been blended with the story that didn't have a huge plot hole in it. I just I can't get past that. And also there's a couple other things too. Um oh, it's a big issue with me. It's a big issue. I said you make up this rule, and I don't know. I didn't get the chance to go back and watch the other Quiet Places before I visited this film. I probably would get pissed off too if it's the same thing. But when you establish this world, what is cool about this world? What is unique about it? They're horror movies. Well, you got to be quiet. That's the hook. You have to be consistent with it is the volume of your characters in your film. If they're
Mm,
freaking out about a shirt, then anything that is louder than a shirt ripping should get someone killed,
yeah.
right? Or they should. There's a lot of usage of water, and that's been a thing in a Quiet Place before. I remember the first one, like John Krasinski was talking to his kid underneath a waterfall, like, or there's something else noisy going on, and because of that reason, you can like conversate. I'll just say there's a sequence in this film where a character is just gasping for air, right out loud, and a travesty actually just happened right beforehand. There were tons of monsters everywhere, and this person's just gasping for air, and I'm like, okay, here it comes. It's coming. Okay, never mind. It doesn't come. I guess he's good. I guess they're good. So that needs to be consistent, and that's another plot hole that I'm just like I like. That's the same thing with the Queen of Katwe. Like I find the fact that she didn't go to her mother not necessarily a plot hole, but that was just the natural turn of events that I thought would happen in the plot, and
Yeah.
just something that I'm missing.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I'm really sad about this movie because like you said, I did connect with it emotionally. I thought it was really good. I thought Lupita's just a phenomenal actor. I thought Joseph Quinn was good.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
I don't
Not
think they really
great.
gave him a whole lot to work with.
Yeah.
Um, but and then also one other thing is when the action does happen, when stuff is going on, this is just a personal preference. I don't like action that has a whole lot of cutting. I think it's very chaotic, and I just can't help but think about the behind the scenes of how they film stuff like this. And the fact that they're cutting it really fast is because they have to, and it's not necessarily like John Wick. John Wick, it's terrible to compare this. John Wick doesn't have a whole lot of cuts during its action sequences because they're really well planned out. And then when you watch a film like this, where there's a CGI monster trying to get someone, and someone's grabbing onto another person, and it cuts like 15 times in the span of 15 seconds, I'm just like, ugh, that just frustrates me. And I wish it could have just been. I think it's a matter of planning, like how you plan out your scenes. But anyways, Connor, you should go watch it though and form your own opinion because a lot of people are when it comes to it'll come to Paramount Plus is where it'll eventually come or VOD. You
Okay.
rent a lot of stuff on VOD, but
I
yeah, when
definitely want to
eventually
watch it. And I still haven't seen the sequel to A Quiet Place, but I'm not a horror fan, but I loved the first one.
Yeah.
it is horror, but it's weirdly like does it feels like commercial horror. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's not really like horror.
I was gonna say it also is like I don't know, maybe it's more classified as a thriller. Like
sure.
maybe
I don't know. I
like
feel like we're
it's
so
almost more
conditioned to
suspenseful.
yeah. I feel like we're so conditioned to what horror movies are nowadays. Like when you watch a horror movie, like oh, like this is a horror movie, and then we have like big CGI aliens running around, and we're like, but it's kind of scary. So what is this?
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think the movie Alien is classified as horror, and it doesn't feel horror to me. Like,
That feels more horror than the Quiet Place. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree with that take, but it still doesn't feel very horror to me.
Like I feel like we think that horror is jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, and then eventual payoff at the very end. So when you watch a movie like Alien, and I can't remember how long, but maybe 30 minutes in, some dude's fucking chest is getting exploded. You're like, oh, this isn't a horror film. This is a lot cooler. This is like an action movie, you know? It's just way different than what horror used to be back in the day. Even The Thing is definitely a horror movie. There's so much stuff that is going on in that movie that I don't know. What is going on the screen is horrific. It's not necessarily the vibes of the movie. You know, it's not fake. It's a real horror movie. Like the stuff is crazy, kind of a thing.
I mean, it's like Jaws, kind of like
Sure. Yeah.
Horror
that
movies are
movie will.
just different nowadays. They just are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that movie will never affect another generation the way it affected that generation.
What did you Lauren, what did you think about the cat? I think that's like the weird like talking point about this movie. I don't know if you knew this, Connor, but there's a cat in A Quiet Place Day One.
Mhm.
I didn't talk about that in my review
I've
because I
heard.
really didn't give a shit about the cat.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. Everyone's when they talk about this movie, like,
Yeah.
well, that cat. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. No, the cat. I mean, the fact that the cat didn't set off any aliens or death angels to come, that is one thing. And then the cat just running around New York, going wherever, that was bothering me. I mean, yes, I know you want to save your animals, but like, come, it was
The only thing I can
frustrating
think
watching.
of is it's a therapy cat. So I guess it
Mm,
actually was trained and it's just
yeah,
really, really quiet.
yeah.
So good. I'm glad that it was quiet. I mean, I'm not
Therapy
around
cats a
therapy cats a
thing?
whole lot, but what?
Are therapy cats a thing?
Probably. I can definitely think that therapy cats are a thing. It does annoy me though. Pet peeve of mine is when I see a therapy dog that has a vest on and it's like jumping around doing circles, like licking itself, like going crazy. I'm like, okay, the owner just slapped that on the dog. There's not a therapy dog. Well,
Yeah.
no. Is it? There's difference. There's a therapy dog and service dog. So therapy dog is, I think, something an owner can just put on whatever they want. It's like it just gives me emotional support. Well, my dogs do that too, but they're chaotic.
My dog is in a Thunder shirt that I bought for her right now because she's a little anxious, or a little anxious dog over fireworks tonight.
Mhm.
What is a thunder? Like it just has like okay, you're gonna get the dog. Oh, okay. I'm gonna describe it to our audio listeners, Connor, what his dog's shirt looks like.
Oh,
Wait. Okay, it is a vest. I see a vest. A border collie looks like Connor has with.
Healthy.
So does it do something to your dog to calm her down?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a therapy vest.
Yeah, it literally just like holds her tight.
Well, there you go, guys. Thanks for listening to our podcast. You got some educational stuff. Our 4th of July is just around the corner. Pick up your therapy vest for your dog right now.
It's called a
yeah,
Thunder shirt.
Thunder shirt. So I thought it was just gonna have like a lightning bolt on it. I was honestly expecting the Oklahoma City Thunder or something. I was like, cool.
that's what I was thinking too.
Now, she does have her name's Kenai from Brother Bears, where I got that.
Ooh,
And she does have like a military style vest that we call her Jack Kenai when she wears.
nice. I honestly might get that because my dog has been very. She didn't used to be this way, but she's very like scaredy cat over everything now. So I think that
Yeah.
that actually might order it in the mail. Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, she used to love everyone and everything, didn't care about sounds. Now all of a sudden she's anxious over everything. But yeah, you can get a PetSmart.
Morin, do you have any animals?
Yeah, I have a dog too, but he's upstairs because if he was here with me, he would be barking at you guys right now.
Barking at us?
Yeah, he's anxious too about everything and even some people. Yeah, he's a 3-year-old Labradoodle. His name's Gemini. He's a handful, but I love him.
I feel like that's all dog. It's either like your dogs are really well trained or they're
Yeah.
like chaotic, but you're like, man, I love them things.
Yeah, right.
So I usually walk my dogs by because my wife works a lot, so I usually walk them by myself. And I have like a 20-pounder, but then like a 75-pound golden retriever. That dude, his name's Otis. He pulls me everywhere. Goodness gracious. I feel bad because I'm like yanking back on him, but I'm like, you're gonna pull me down, so I got to do this to you, kind of a thing.
That's my dog. Yeah, he's like 70 pounds too, and yeah, he pulls a lot. He likes to pee everywhere. I'm like, hey, calm down.
We have 3 dogs here, so.
And a child.
Yeah, and a child. We got her, Sheltie. We got my wife's, who's a pug beagle Shih Tzu mix, and then we have my mother-in-law's, which is I want to say a pit lab Chihuahua mix or something. I don't know.
Would all of our dogs die if death angels came down?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Right out of there first. I gotta let
mine's
them
not
go.
lasting 30 seconds.
Yeah.
This is what I would do. I love my dog to death. I would open the door, be like, hey, Sophie, see that? And just chuck her out the window because I'm like, I'm not dying for you.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just being honest. I don't want those
Some
things.
dog parent you are.
I am a good dog parent. I mean, you want to die? Like, would you die? I mean, you're both gonna die, or you could chuck your dog outside. I mean,
I'd rather
there's
my
no
dog live than me.
why. Okay, your dog's gonna die after you die.
Right?
Yeah, but I don't have to know that and go through that pain.
Well, you don't have to know. Just shut the door. Just play fetch, throw it, and be like, "Go get it." And I'm like, you don't have to actually witness it. I will say though, I don't know if you saw Jeremiah talk about this film. Jeremiah, we love him, have him on twice to the pod so far, but he was like, why doesn't the government just set off some really noisy thing in the center of some area, and they all go to it and they just bomb the shit out of them? And I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
How
That
do you know
wouldn't
you're
be
going
as
to get
fun of a
all of
movie,
them?
huh?
How do you know you're going to get all of them?
I mean, they all are attracted to really loud noises. I mean, maybe there's an effective one. Probably busy chewing up my dog or something.
Exactly. That's why you don't just sacrifice your dog stone.
I will say, not to speak of plot holes, I totally don't. I don't want to talk about my dog anymore. That makes me sad. Even though I'm very much willing to just chuck him out. I don't really know why. It's because I think the first Quiet Place takes place like 300 days, something like that.
I think it's 300 exactly almost.
I don't know why in that time period. Maybe someone else did because I know this is just Krasinski and his family. I don't know why anybody else didn't think about the fact because how they defeat the things. It's like let's turn up the volume in an insane amount and it just like makes the things explode, right? I'm pretty sure that's like what he does. Like they basically turn up the frequency an insane amount. Like what is it? The deaf girl like takes her hearing aid and like smacks it to the microphone, and the signal that it's making, the high pitched noise, like basically im- drives the monsters, the Death Angels, insane. And then like Emily Blunt shoots them with a shotgun. So that's like how you defeat them is by their advantage.
Does that happen in the second one or the first?
The first one, I remember because
Okay.
John Krasinski spoiled. No, I'm not gonna spoil it. John Krasinski is not in the picture at this moment because he might be doing some other things. But yeah, I remember Emily.
I feel like at
Blunt has,
this
a
point
shot.
it came out in 2018. You can spoil it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we didn't want to spoil us for you, so that came out in 20.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm one of the hosts.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I
But
don't know why.
also,
Maybe
that's the whole reason I put a
government-
table of contents in here so people can skip to whatever they have seen or have not seen.
Oh, look at you.
If you're listening, you didn't know this, just scroll down on our episodes. There's a table of contents to exactly when we're talking about certain things.
Nice. Well, speaking of talking about watching certain things, Morin, I don't know if you got to this point of our episodes, but we like to recommend films to people to close out an episode. We've talked about Lupita today, but what is another movie that you watched recently? I will say, guys, I'm not to plug her again, but the Film Diva is incredible at just recommending movies. I feel like you watch very random movies.
I do.
Like that isn't like bad or like I kind of look for consistency. Some people go on series, but it's just like you're kind of like me. I just watch. I was like, that looks good. Let me turn it on, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go follow her. Great recommendations. But what is a movie that you've watched recently that you don't think a lot of people have seen?
I'll be putting in the spot. I wish I thought about this.
That's okay. It could be even a common movie. You know, just whatever comes to your mind. Connor, do you have one off the top of your head that you can think of while she's thinking of it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with one because my co-host still has yet to watch it, according to his letterboxd. Last Flag Flying.
That's me.
It's a bit of a cheat answer because we just did an entire episode on this, so I'll keep it brief. But for anyone who missed that episode, it's about 3 friends who all served in Vietnam together, 2 in the Marine Corps, 1 in the Navy, and they haven't seen each other since Vietnam, and it now takes place in 2003. They link back up together, and they aren't sure why, because it's Steve Carell's character that go finds Lawrence Fishburne and Bryan Cranston's character. And it's because Steve Carell's son enlisted in the Marine Corps, and he died over in Baghdad, I believe. And he wants someone to go with him to retrieve the body. So he finds his old friends. And it is one of the greatest on-screen portrayals of a Marine that I have ever seen from Bryan Cranston. So
Yeah,
Stone, go
I've heard
watch
of
it.
this. I said I've heard of this film, definitely. Connor's recommended this a lot. But I will say one that I comes to mind for me is actually in theaters right now, and I was the only person in my movie theater when I watched this, and I loved it because I was laughing my ass off, and my I could hear myself echoing against the walls, and I was just sitting back like this, having a good old time. It is a movie called Thelma. It is such a good film. Have you heard of this film?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay. I say Thelma is about a 93-year-old woman, and she gets scammed by these people. She thinks her grandson has been in an accident and he needs money for the hospital or something like that. And these people are like, if you want to help your son, you gotta give me 10K cash. And she's like, okay. So she goes to the post office, chucks 10K in, and then she meets her grandson later, and she's like, oh, you're out of the hospital or something. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So the family finds out that, she has been scammed. And they kind of just like, well, that happens to old people. Come on, grandma. Maybe you need to go into a home. And Thelma's like, or I could get my money back. Like, are you guys gonna help me? And I'm like, well, you don't know where you put the address, so we don't have anything to go off of. So she gets pissed at her family because they want to put her in a nursing home now because they think she's unstable to live by herself. So she finds the address and she goes on a journey to get her 10K back. And it is incredible. There's a gag about Tom Cruise and his stunts, and she's like, "Ooh, that Tom Cruise is pretty good." And it's cool because people really promoted this movie as an action movie. It's not at all. But the stunts that she does, which is kind of cool for a 93-year-old, it's like she'll like roll on a bed, and even like her friends like, "Good job, Thelma. Good job. You did a good job rolling." And it's cool that even like when I'm watching like Tom Cruise movies or other people who do their stunts, sometimes I purposely watch to see if it's the person doing it. I'm like, oh, that's Keanu. Keanu's doing that right now. So when I was watching this movie, the actress's name, by the way, is June Squibb. By the way, she played Nostalgia in Inside Out too. Fun fact: she was the voice of Nostalgia. But when she rolls on the bed, I was like, no way. Like that seems really hard for her. And then she like got up and I was like, that was her. She did the stunt like Tom Cruise. Like it was just, it's a fun time. They make so many old jokes that they always work all the time, and it's hilarious. It's a movie about self acceptance too in life. She has a very good relationship with her 24-year-old grandson, and he is also going through like kind of not a midlife crisis, but he's trying to find himself. He's kind of like a slob, doesn't really have his life put together, and she is also at her age trying to figure out what to do next. So they not only love each other, but there's also similarities in their journey throughout the story. Um, Really good movie. Like it's in my top 5 of the year. I really enjoyed it. It's really different than most movies that come out of theaters. It's really low budget, but very heartwarming. Very good message. I think everyone will enjoy it. I don't like comedies. I don't know if you know that more, and I speak about that a lot.
Yeah.
Comedies. I don't go purposely out to watch comedies a lot. We don't even get much in the theaters. If there's a comedy that comes out on Netflix or a streaming service, I try to avoid it because more than likely what's going to happen is there's going to be throw jokes at me and I'm not going to find them funny. And in my weird mind, I know that comedy's subjective, but I'm like, this movie isn't good because it's not making me laugh for the jokes it wants me to laugh at. That's just how I see it. But Thelma, not a problem. Every time it worked. Like it's funny watching old people do stuff. It really is.
I'll check
So
it out.
yeah, Thelma's in theaters right now. Hopefully, still near everyone. If it's not, trying to think what the production company was. It'll be on VOD soon. But yeah, look out for it. It's a really fun time. But did you find one more?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna recommend two really quickly because it came to the top of my head. Because one's older, one's came out this year. So the first one is Take Shelter. I watched that for the first time recently with Michael Shannon, and I thought it was great because he's a really underrated actor. So just a quick background on the movie for those who don't know. It's about a father who is plagued with a series of apocalyptic visions, and he questions whether to shelter his family from a coming storm or from himself. So Michael Shannon, his performance is amazing. It also has Jessica Chastain. I think you guys should definitely check this one out. It's free on Tubi, so you guys can just go on Tubi and watch this movie. So I think it was really good. And then the next one, it's called Marmalade. It's a new one that came out this year, starring Joe Keery and Camilla Morone and Aldous Hodge. And it's about this, it's kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde type of story. So two young lovers who rob a bank, I guess, and then he's in jail narrating his story to his cellmate. And that's all I'm going to say. There are a lot of twists and turns in this film. So I really think you guys should check this one out. I believe it's on Netflix now, depending, I guess, what country you're in. But I do think it's on Netflix. So definitely.
It's on Hulu here in America.
Okay, so maybe it's Disney Plus in Canada. I don't know. It's somewhere. I think it's Netflix in Canada. So Hulu in the US. But yeah, definitely check that movie out as well. I thought it was pretty good. I know there's mixed reactions about that movie, but I thought it was a fun watch.
So I know a lot of people. My brother actually just watched Take Shelter for the first time. I still haven't seen it, but it's because Jeff Nichols is the director. He just did The Bike Riders, which is out in theaters right now. But I've heard
Filmed in
incredible things
Cincinnati.
about it. Wait, filmed in Cincinnati. Wait, The Bike Riders was?
Mhm.
And you know every film that was filmed in Cincinnati.
Basically, but
you
also
like follow a page that like tells you.
no, it just doesn't happen that often.
Oh well.
But also, I had a buddy who's like trying to be an actor, and he was an extra in that film.
Oh well. Has he gotten success since?
I think that was the last thing he was in.
Well, he's got to get on it. Tell him to listen to the pod, so I can tell him.
He has.
Oh, good. But yeah, great recommendations. Please, Morin, please tell everyone again where they can find you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you guys for having me. I really
That was a
enjoyed
pleasure.
myself. But you guys can find me at the Film Diva, all one word, on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, but mainly on TikTok. So follow me there. I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers, hopefully by the end of the summer. So
You and me both.
that's the goal for both of us.
Please follow her, guys. Dan should be back next week. Again, sorry that he wasn't on this episode. Sorry you had to hear me talk a lot more than I usually do. But I'm thankful that Connor and Morin were here talking with me about Lupita. Next week we have Shark Week coming up that I'm super excited for. Our expert, like we don't need a guest because we got the expert. Oh, it's backwards. We got the expert right there. Yeah, it's backwards. The camera's backwards.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, but I'm excited. We're gonna watch little Jaws, the new Under Paris that just came out on Netflix. We're gonna be discussing that.
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea and The Shallows.
Ooh, I love
So
that.
we're really excited for that. But
The
yeah,
only
thanks
one
for-
I have to rewatch is The Shallows.
Yeah, Connor's like, I watched all those today. I know we were talking about Lupita, but just sharks, man. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening to us today while we talked about our favorite things in the world, movies. But yeah, please this week though, go outside, touch grass, sit on a park bench. But we'll see you next week. Peace. Thanks, guys.